All right, well, we're back in the shop now, and unfortunately, I still haven't received the rear brackets for the Brembos. I'm not really sure why it's taken so long, but the guy said I should have them here soon. So what I want to do right now is I still want to dial in the fitment for the front Brembos. When I had mocked it up initially, I had just put some 12 millimeter, like M12 size bolts in here. And that's not the size. These are actually M14 by 2.0. So these are a larger bolt size there. So like I said, I just put M12 in there just to kind of mock things up to see if my thought process was correct in being able to fit the larger Brembos. So what I want to do today is actually get the brackets fitted so I can ensure that these are going to fit properly, and kind of, if there's any modification, like any grinding I might need to do or sanding, I can determine that. And if you look here, as I mentioned earlier, when I had loosely mocked it up, it did rub a little bit on both sides. And I just want to know in depth of how much I'm looking at in terms of grinding the top hat. And again, I've already done it to the 89 over there, and it's been fine for like 10 years. So it's not a matter of, I don't think, structural integrities. So anyway, got everything laid out here. Here's the front bracket kit. Comes with the bolts that you need. That's pretty cool, and some washers. Disappointingly, I don't see lock washers here, so I'm going to probably add some before I call this completed or finished. But what's cool is the kit actually came with a tap, the M14 by 2.0. This is the tap you need to get that to fit correctly. So, but I got the instructions pulled up here on my shop computer. I'm not sure if you can read it with me here, but it says I need to tap with, the M14 2.0 at the bottom caliper bolt hole closest to the ground. And then on the top, it says to use a 9/16 drill bit. 9/16 is roughly, 14 millimeter. And then you have to drill it out. So again, we're basically going from M12 to M14 to accommodate this fitment here. So that's what we're going to do today. So, but with taps like this, with the square drive on the base, normally people would use, I think even in the pictures it shows, maybe, let's see, it actually doesn't show, but in most cases a tap, you use a T-handle. And like, let me show you my metric tap kit and how, it wants you to use a T-handle. T-handles are the normal tool that you would use to, run a tap through a hole. And here it is, and the problem I have with taps is it's a clunky tool. It works obviously, but it's not what I would call, a comfortable tool. And here's a bigger handle where you would lock in a bigger tap, like even this size, I guess. And while this is fine, this has a definitely long enough leverage to get the job done, it's still like an uncomfortable tool to use. So instead of using that, I actually got a cool socket attachment for your basic 3/8 drive. This guy right here. So how it works, basically you have the tap square fitment in there, and you just lock it down, and it works. I've used this a couple times already. I actually picked this up at an Ace Hardware. The brand is Irwin. Irwin's kind of a common tool name, right there alongside Craftsman pretty much. But I've seen these on Amazon. I think they're 20 bucks, maybe a little shy of 20 bucks. But in my opinion, this is definitely a toolbox tool you should have. So being that we're going to go through iron, not aluminum, I'm going to go ahead and step it up to a half drive. So let's get my adapter to go up to a half drive. And only because, on my 3/8 drive, the handle's shorter and narrower. If I go to my half drive, it's longer. I got a better grip onto it. So it's just gonna be better for leverage and continuous use here. So, like I said, I want to utilize this tap versus my 2.0 tap, 14 2.0. If I'm gonna mar one up, if I'm gonna screw one up, I'd rather screw up the one that came with the kit. So let's go ahead and install that. And again, when you install it, you just kind of cinch it down. You don't have to go gorilla tight, and that's basically it. So I just wanted to show that cool socket attachment. That's something I recommend you guys get if you're ever doing stuff like this. So let's put this back. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and work on this side just because it's brighter over here. You guys can see. I've got my hub here, turbo hubs, and on this setup, you can see that I have a ABS wheel sensor. This is actually a 370Z sensor, and I use this sensor to pick up wheel speed for the front wheel speed. And I'm actually on the 370Z diff behind a car. I have I'm using one of those axle stub wheel token rings to monitor the wheel speed of the rear. And the reason why I'm doing that is to utilize traction control and Megascore. It actually works. It needs some finessing and dialing in to get it to work properly or better, but I can definitely notice that it's hooking up way better than it was before. So, but yeah, this is, that's that. So you'll be able to see my installation of the token ring when I pull off the hub here. And I think I do have to pull off the hub because I don't think I can get, maybe I can if I get an extension here. Let's see if I can get an extension to that, because I don't think with as fat as my tool here is, yeah, you see that the knuckle, not the knuckle, but the socket is hitting the side of that. I think if I just get, well, no, there's no way around it, I guess, with even getting an extension that will run into it. But let me, yeah, it's gonna go in at a weird angle. So we're gonna have to take off the hub, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So let's get that going. The hub removal process is pretty easy and straightforward. So let's get some paper towels ready for that, because you're gonna need to put the hub down and its attachments here. So let's get that. So when you remove the hub, let me get, well, I'll get gloves on in a minute, because I want to be able to wipe off that grease. So basically you need a hammer to take off the hub cap, the bearing nut cap to take that off, and then it's a 27 millimeter socket bolt. So go ahead and okay, then once you get it pulled away a little bit, you can just twist your chisel or punch and it comes right off. And you can tell I've been here fairly recently when I did bearings. That's very fresh grease. So again, I like to put things cleanly on paper towels over here. All right, so let's get my number 27. Oh, and there's a cotter pin. I forgot about that. 1 second. And for cotter pins, I just use a pair of wire dikes, because it's just easier, in my opinion, to grab hold and tell it where I want it to go. I can find the end of it. There we go. Couldn't see where it was started, got covered in grease. And the reason why I like doing this is just, I think it's easier to cut at the base of the cotter pin versus trying to straighten it out and try to pull it through. All right. All right, let me pick that up before I step on it and get track grease everywhere. All right, so then what you do is when you have it cut, you can just pull the rest of it through quite easily there. So that's how I do that. And again, you know, that's a greasy job, so you're gonna get a little dirty while doing this. Unfortunately, this is what's required for these caliper brackets. Wasn't planned to do this, but whatever. It is what it is. So, you know, normally when you pull off your hub, you want to, any grease you remove, you want to put grease back in there. So we will definitely do that. Just got to remember to do it. It wasn't much, but there's going to be a little more that comes out as we take off the hub. So I'm going to use some needle nose pliers so I don't get my fingertips nasty. So just grab, there's like a cage nut here, or nut cage, which the cotter pin locks into. So just put that down. I come over here. This won't be on super tight. It's just there to do its job, to hold the hub down. And there is a washer, a keyed washer behind this bolt, and you want to make sure you don't drop or lose that, because it's definitely required to have that on there. So just kind of a heads up on that. So I got the nut off. There it is. All right, so here's my trick of pulling off the hubs. There's like the bearing is right there, the outer bearing, and you got the washer there. So hold it like this and pull to keep everything there. All right, that way you don't drop it. But as I mentioned earlier, this is the token ring I had welded there, and it, you know, it looks actually like OEM. So definitely it works. I'm able to monitor wheel speed, and you have to calibrate it in Tuner Studio for Megasquirt. To make sure it's correct. So I think I have it within like 1% or less than 1% of accuracy. So it works pretty well. All right, I might as well wipe off as much grease as I can, because I don't really want it to get anywhere on my shirt or anything like that. But you can see, like, it's kind of visualize how much grease we're taking off, because I need to put that back on. So I just want to just do a quick wipe down. Do one more time, we should be ready to roll. Kind of hate going that far just to install some brackets, but one of my frequent terms I use is, it is what it is. All right, I'm confident with all this. All right, cool. Looks good to me. All right. All right, so like I said, we need to tap this hole with the M14 2.0, and then this hole needs to be drilled out to a 9/16 or 14 millimeter hole. So if you've ever tapped anything before, you know, you need to lubricate while you tap. That's a common problem I see with folks. And it causes, if you don't do it, it causes binding, and you can actually snap the tap. So, you know, WD-40 works great for that, or cutting oil. You know, these taps are one of those expensive items, and if you snap it in half, you're going to get yourself in a pickle. So so what I do before I even spray lubricant, I get started on the hole to make sure it has a good bite. You know, and one thing I'm noticing here as I'm starting, you know, the instructions didn't say drill it out to the required, they just said just go ahead and start it. And I'm wondering if this is not correct. I'm wondering if you should drill it out to the proper drill bit size before tapping, because it is seemingly like super tight. I'm not really comfortable doing that, but I'll just keep moving forward and see how well it does. If it causes more grief, then I'm going to get the right drill bit to just enlarge the hole a tad. But seems to be doing all right, I guess. I just, normally you want to get the actual drill bit size and go there. So like I said, get the hole lubricated so you don't have any binding, and it actually helps the cutting process go a little smoother. Now when you're cutting, or when you're tapping a hole, you want to go back and forth, because if you go forward and you don't clear the shavings that's in these little grooves here, it can bind and cause the tool to literally snap, and then you're screwed. So when you start feeling it get tight, that's when you know, okay, time to clear the threads. And maybe every third time you clear the threads, spray some more WD-40 down. You could really never have enough lubricant when you're using a tap. So that was my third time right there. So we're gonna go ahead and lubricate right now. And then sometimes, depending on how much filings or thread material is built up, you may need to get, an air compressor and blow it out. But I think we'll be all right without that. We'll see. Let's make sure that cap is locked down good. Yeah, I think we're binding excessively right now because there's too many filings in there. So let's take it all the way out. And you'll see what I'm talking about. See all that? There's quite a bit of material on the tap, and I'm not really happy with that as we're making progress here. So I need to turn on my air compressor. It looks like we're about halfway through cutting the threads here, which is cool. But let me go turn on my air compressor. Well, I mean, it is always on, but I need to turn the air on to the hoses. And we'll be able to get my air grip thingamajig. All right. I'm happy I got the lines dropped over here. It took me forever to get motivation to get my hose reels near the lift. That's good. Yeah, check that out. That looks really good. So that's what we want. And then get the tap and do the same thing. Clean the tap threads. It just makes life a little easier when you're trying to get this done. Maybe we can put this on the garbage in the corner there. There we go. All right, so trying to get it back in there until I feel a little bit of resistance, like that. And then shoot it with some lubricant. Okay, like I said, when it binds up like it just did, you need to back it out and go at it again, because the filings will then get dislodged. But if it's doing what it's doing now, where it's binding more frequently, I think we have to use a combination of air, and patience to get this done. And thankfully, we only have to do the bottom hole per the instructions. There we go. Like I said, it's just a patience game. All right, just checking things out. All right. Let's put a little more lubrication there. Oh man, it is definitely fighting me a little bit. I'm not sure if it's a cheap tap or if it's just because I'm doing iron. But yeah, can you imagine doing this with a T handle? No way, no way. So I'm gonna take this all the way out actually and clean the threads with air again and see how we're doing, how close we are. Oops, removed this accidentally. Okay, yeah, we got like 2 more rotations and then we're done. Okay. There it goes. I just felt it clear. Just run the tap all the way through just to clear it out. Now, I'm not sure if you're thinking, well, couldn't you just use an impact to zip it through? I mean, you can, but you're definitely going to risk snapping that tool. Like I said, definitely one of those things you want to be methodically slow about it. So just kind of a heads up on that. I would not recommend using an impact on that. So let's get a close-up video of that. Threads look perfect. Check that out. All right, cool. And as a test, we are going to run the bolt that's for it. Just run it through to make sure, you know, it's good. And it's good. Feels like a bolt going through its home. So no binding, no catching, so that's good. All right, and now what we need to do is drill out that hole on the top. I should have a 9/16. Let me see what's in my drill bit kit. If not, I have a drawer of just miscellaneous drill bits I've bought over the years. But let's see what's in this kit right here. Let's see. Do I have a 9/16? I don't think I do in here. This is all smaller stuff. So it's unfortunate. That would have been an easier find. So we'll have to go in my miscellaneous drawer of drill bits, and I apologize. You might have to kind of deal with finding this. Let's see. What size is this? A 1/2 inch. 5/32. Another 1/2 inch. Come on. 14 millimeter. Actually, I have a 14, but I remember, I can't remember if this drill bit bent or not. Let's see. Yeah. Drill bit bent when I was using it last. That's kind of a, I might resort to that if I can't find a 9/16. Oh, here we go, 9/16. Sweet. And looks to be okay, definitely used. Hopefully we can get one cut out of this bit left. It just tells me I need to get more drill bits, obviously. But like I said, I'm following the instructions just as they said. So let's just do as you're told. All right. This is a heavy duty drill where it's not just a hand tightening. It has your typical chuck and chuck key. All right. Like I said, I'm very happy I got my hose reel and power reel up here. But yeah, same thing with drilling into metal. You know, you really want to do your best to lube, spray stuff. That way, you know, it doesn't destroy your bit. But I'm not even promising that this bit's going to cut because it looks like it was pretty used. And sorry if you can't see, it's I'm at a weird angle. And again, I apologize if you can't see. It seems to be cutting pretty well, just kind of slow. All right, take a break, pause, clean some threads, spray some more lube, Now, the one thing I don't like about doing this is there's no coming back, honestly. That's the only thing I don't like. There's no reverting back to factory size. Okay, almost there. One more clean here. All right. You can obviously see that steam from when I do this. It's a tremendous amount of heat. Okay, just about there. It's actually kind of clipped to the outside already. I can tell this is like the end of this drill bit. I'm glad that we had it though. See what I accidentally did? I accidentally moved the torque. I was like, what's going on? All right, got it drilled through successfully. We'll clean up the hole here in a minute. Let's put things away so we don't trip on it. All right, we'll leave the hose reel there. Might need to use it. And I'll go ahead and put this drill bit away because I don't think we'll use it. Well, we'll see if I can use it for the other side, but we'll do that on a different day, but we'll keep the drill bit out. I think it'd be cool if they actually provided that drill bit. I would have gladly paid the extra $5 to $10 for that drill bit. That way I'm not scrounging for the what if size drill bit. All right, so let's see if the bolt goes through properly, and it does. I should also tell you that if you guys ever want to do like the 350Z Brembos, granted the 350Z Brembos actually have the same bolt pattern configuration and the offset's all the same, but they also use the 14mm hole. So you wouldn't need to tap it like this, but you would definitely need to drill both holes out to a 14mm, and then the 350Z Brembos would bolt right on, and you would use the 350Z track rotors like the ones I had previously. All right, so I've already, put this gently here so I don't scratch it. I've already ground out right here to allow the bracket to exist. And what you do to, I got the wrong one, to figure out where you want to grind is you would lay it here like so, and you would get a Sharpie, an outline where you need to cut. You can actually kind of see a little bit of an outline of the Sharpie. So if we get the other one, which I haven't cut yet, and I was saving it to show you all. So like that, kind of line it up like that. And you can kind of see where you would need to grind a little bit of the webbing in the back away to allow this bracket to have clearance there. But fortunately for this video right now, I already did it for that side. So we'll go ahead and get this bracket mocked up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. But first, let's see what size sock I need. And it looks to be like a 23 or 24, or maybe even a 22. Yeah, 22. So what you want to do is get your bracket like mocked up like that. Run the bolt through to hold it in place like that. Get the bolt behind there and go ahead and run the That's definitely a tight because it's not gliding through like I was wanting it to. But I'm glad the bracket is aluminum because the bolt is likely going to be chasing it a bit. But that's okay. Let's go ahead and get that going. Sorry. I don't want that socket to drop. Definitely like precision here. I mean, it's like there's like no slop whatsoever in the hole. Okay, so that's bolted on, and then this guy is really tight in there, so I'm gonna back this out a little bit manually. It's actually not even coming out. So let's loosen it a little bit, I guess. I was kind of expecting it to be a little more straightforward. Wow, it's not even coming out. Or is it? Nope, it's just sitting there spinning. So, no big deal. And I definitely don't want to like hammer it out because I'll ruin the threads, you know? So, I'm wondering if, what I'm going to do actually, instead of having this bolt pre-exist, which was ideal, we're going to have to do, I wonder if I need to like drill out the hole a little bit bigger on these because I'm not satisfied with how it's running through. Now I can't remember if a 3/16, or I'm sorry, 9/16 was slightly bigger than 14 mil. I can't remember. Where did I put that drill bit? Let's see. Where did I put it? Oh, I left it out. Silly me. Yeah, I mean, it's going through, but like I said, I'm a little irritated that it's not going through nicely. I just don't want to go hardcore on it. So I don't know. I think what I'll do, let's see, 14, yeah, I don't know. Let's just try this methodically slow, and I'm sure we'll get it. I'm keeping an eye on my battery on my GoPro. It's running low again. These batteries do not last long. So what we're gonna do is get it kind of in there like that. That's gonna be fine. There. Yeah, so what I did differently this time, I didn't have the bolts, this back bolt all the way through. That way I can remove it a lot easier. Kind of disappointing. There must be some tight tolerances here. That's on there tight, and that's doing its thing again. There we go. Now it's coming out. Actually, we'll actually leave it like that because I need to thread it in there. Okay, so you can kind of see the bolt barely sitting right there. One thing I noticed when I mocked this up earlier is that the bracket, I'm not sure if you can see, the bracket is like a hair smaller or narrow in terms of width than the actual ear. And this is for an S13, which the S13 has the same width of the ear mounts here. So it should all be the same. So what I'll do is, as a temporary mock-up, we'll just get one of these washers. This should be the only difference that we need. And we'll just temporarily, as like a temp fix, and that lines it up perfectly. So we'll use this temporarily. Well, I guess not temporarily, we'll need to get 2 more of these per side to make sure it's correct, but just for mocking things up today, this will be fine. So let's get our Brembo here. And before I put the, well, I'll go ahead and kind of had a pause point right here. I want to put the rotor back on, or the rotor and the hub. So let's get that back on real quick, because we're done drilling, so we can go ahead and put this back on. So like I said a moment ago, we need to make sure we have sufficient grease on there. So I have a new can of Mobil 1 here. This is the grease I recommend for any of your bearing or otherwise high temp needs for grease. This is good stuff. It's like cake icing. Before we get started on that, I need to change out the battery, so give me 1 second to swap it out. All right, we're back. All right, so like I said, whatever grease we remove, we got to put it right back on. So let's put just a good slather of grease. And obviously it gets kind of everywhere. And that should be good. That should be good. Kind of debating if I should put a little more. Let's check out the inside just to make sure that I put enough in there earlier. Yeah, there's definitely plenty in there. But I'll go ahead and just put a little bit in top right here, because I did remove some. There is a torque setting amount, and we're not gonna, well, I guess I'll look it up. There's no point in coming back to this later now that we're done. So let me look at the specs. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's like either 16 or 26 inch-pounds. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. But let's go ahead and get this back on. All right. And just kind of slather that back in there. Good grease. Stay there. All right. Well, I won't put that cage on quite yet. While I'm kind of doing this, I'll just talk through. Usually when I have done a big brake installation, a big brake kit, you almost always need to have like a wheel spacer to provide clearance for the rotor, not the rotor I guess, but for the face of the Brembos against the wheel. It's interesting that almost always the caliper is so tall that it'll likely hit the wheel spokes of whatever wheels you're running. So there's kind of food for thought there. Make sure that when you're doing this, you think in advance about the your caliper height, because they're definitely a taller caliper in general. Even the 350Zs are taller, so you might need spacers on the 350Z Brembos. But the 350Z Brembos are also like the smallest Brembos you can get. So what I do is I get this bolted pretty tight like this to make sure that the hub is fully seated in, and then I back it out. And so let me go get the specs real quick of the torque, so I want to do this correctly. Put the grease away now, we're done with it. All right, so we're gonna go back to my computer here because I have the factory service manuals. Let's see, I'll do it 88. I think it's under, it might be under BR for brake. Or actually, that's body, my mistake. It might be under, where is it? FA for front axle. There we go, my mistake. So let's take a look here. So it says 22, 18 to 22. So that's what we'll do. But let me just make sure that's in inch pounds versus foot pounds. And it's foot pounds. So right there it says, if you can see, let me zoom in. It says 18 to 22. So I'll go right in the middle at 20. Actually, being that I've ran the bearings, I'll do 22. Why not? Now the only concern is this torque wrench. I think the lowest it goes to is 25, maybe 24. So let me get the old school style. Let's see how low this one goes. Yeah, we'll do this one. This one goes to like 10. So we'll go to, so there's 20. We'll go up to 22. Okay, it's a 3/8 drive. So we'll go over here and steal the adapter that I was using earlier. Or the other way around, actually, my mistake. Whoopsie. So we'll need to size up to 27. This guy right here. All right. Gross. There we go. I hate grease sometimes, you know. The mess it makes. All right. So here we go. Nice and gentle. All right, that's 22 apparently. And then you want to just feel it by hand and make sure it's what you expected, and it feels good. It definitely feels tight for being on the upper side. And then it says 22. I just want to make sure. Let me double make sure. Yeah, that's 22. All right, so I feel comfortable with that. It's definitely on the tighter side, but I guess torque settings don't lie. And just as a reminder, whenever you're done using a torque wrench, always back off the spring, or back off the torque, because you don't want to stretch out the spring that is calibrated accordingly. You can either damage it to a point where it's trash, or you'd have to recalibrate it. So, which is a pain in the butt to recalibrate those. All right. Clean this before I forget. Okay. And we need a new cotter pin before I put that cage on. Let's see. I have two different sizes here. Let's see which one might work. I think these ones will be good. All right, let's go put this bad boy back on. All right. Where is it? I can't see with all the grease. And obviously you can't, because I didn't adjust the camera. Where is it? Come on. There it is. All right. So you got that on there, and then you want to, with your fingers, if you can, get the pry opening started, but you want to finish it off with the needle nose to get it done exactly like that. And you want to make sure that the legs don't extend too far, because the bearing cage there will spin. Actually, something's up. I think I forgot something. No, never mind. I thought I forgot the little, the washer in there, but I can see it in there. I was like, man, little panic attack there. Where did it go? But I can see it in there. All right, so that looks good. Let me just finish that little end real quick, and then we'll be able to put that cap back on. There we go. Yeah, that's good. And I'm actually gonna put a little more grease in the cap. As the cotter pin is sitting there and as the things rotate inside, it actually will kind of blend, or I call it blending, but it'll agitate and turn and kind of move grease around a bit in there. So you definitely don't want to have this cap dry, is what I'm trying to say. So make sure that you put some grease back in the cap if there's like a lack of grease in there. That's really it. All right. And then when you hammer the cap back in there, don't use a regular hammer or, you know, a dead blow, a sledge. Use a mallet, because the cap surface can easily dent and deform, and you don't want to do that. So just get your mallet and put it back on. By the way, those caps are still available from Nissan. They're the same caps they use since like the 240Z. So if you do mess it up, you can definitely get a replacement. I actually have a couple of new ones sitting in the parts shed for just the what if scenario. All right, so cleaning any remnants of that. Okay, so let me put things away so that we're not making too much of a bad mess. We're in better shape than we were a few moments ago. Put some tools away right quick. I think we're looking good. Yeah. Okay, so as I said a moment ago, because of the height of the thickness of the calipers, you'll need to, in most cases, space out, using a spacer to space out the wheel from the wheel spokes hitting this. And I already know I'm gonna need to. So there's my spacer down there. So let's go ahead and now I'm only going to put 3 of these on there because I'm not really done for we're ready to put the wheel back on. So we'll just get it just mocked up just for testing fitment purposes. And just for conversation here, we don't need to do this great extent on the rears. I've already done the rears on the 89. You know, I know what's involved. And it's just a simple 4-bolt configuration where it just offsets the new bolt standard. So I need my electric impact real quick. The big guy. Let's see. Now I'm not going to go hogging on this thing. I'm just going to put it on there lightly. I believe these are a 19. All right. So before we even put the caliper on there, spin it by hand. Just see if there's any like wobble to it. The wobble would tell you whether or not you got the hub on straight and the rotor on straight. So everything, it's spinning nicely here. So the challenge here at this point is getting you guys to see how I bolt it on. So what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna turn the key on and move the wheel to the right so you can see the caliper. And actually I need to see it too, because it's such a huge rotor, a 14-inch rotor, that it's gonna be very hard for me to get things lined up and, you know, for testing. So if you ever have a lift, you know, it's nice having a ladder. So turn the key, oh, I left the key on the bench. Let's go get the key real quick. That helps when turning a car on. All right. And sorry for the strange view. Come on. There we go. So I'm gonna go all the way to the right. And I'm actually just gonna leave it on, because if I need to push it back and forth, I can do that. Okay, so now we can see a bit more. So like I said earlier, spin the rotor to make sure there's no wobble, and I don't see any wobble. So everything is on there nice and tight and true. Okay, so what's required at this point is, I remember I got to put that washer right there to kind of fill in that gap or that difference of height. But I'm ready to get things mocked up. So what I'll do is I'll put the bottom one in first and then slowly tighten this thread or that bolt so we can hit its destination. Let me put my phone over here on the charger. Actually, I need put it on silent too. That way, if I get a phone call or a text, it won't annoy us. Okie dokie. So I think we're set for the mock-up. I don't have pads, that's okay. I just want to ensure everything's going to go as planned. Hopefully everything works as it should. I'm going to throw a washer on there, I guess. And I need the other washer for the bottom. Okay. So if we put this here, it's going to be kind of a challenge because of that bottom washer need, you know. But it is what it is. All right, so luckily that went through nice and easy. It's already threaded. And we're gonna rotate this back. So you see how it's kind of hanging there like that? See that? So now we're gonna need to rotate inward like that to get the front or top mount cleared for that. But unfortunately I can't do it by hand because of the amount of leverage being applied. So we'll have to torque it in with a wrench. Again, not my ideal way of doing this. I'm probably gonna get a drill bit and drill out the holes of the bracket so that it's a little easier, because right now I'm not comfortable how this is actually going. Matter of fact, as I'm talking through this, if that bolt is at a weird angle, which I think it is, it's going to cause, it might cause some cross threading or stripping of the holes of the caliper, because in the caliper holes, they're aluminum. They're gonna thread or cross thread very easily, and I really don't want to risk that possibility of that happening. So I think what I'll do, I'm not sure if I have like the next size up in like a standard thread size. I might just get my Dremel and just open up the hole a tiny bit, because it's just not, it's not going where I want it to go, you know? So let me see if I have a drill bit that might just work perfectly and not to go too large, you know? All right. Let's see, what size is this guy? It's also a 9/16, it looks like. Actually, it's biting pretty, it's biting ever so slightly. I wonder if I should just kind of clear out the holes a bit more. Yeah, I'm gonna clear out the holes a little bit more. This just might be just the hair touch that we need to get it to fit better. Kind of sucks, but I know I'm not the only one who came across this issue. I can't be. It could be like the silver powder coating that's causing a little bit of buildup there. I mean, the tolerance is so tight on that. Yeah, let's just clean out the hole a little bit. And actually, you can kind of wiggle the drill a little bit to kind of open the bore a little bit. So let's go over here to my vise. Okay. I do have a drill press, but I don't want to bother with getting it all mounted for this. This is just going to be quick and easy for putting it in the vise and just running a drill hole through it, a drill bit through it. All right. All right, let's see if that made a difference. You can definitely tell that, you know, with what I just did, it might have opened up a tad bit more. So let's double check that theory and see if I'm a liar or not. So if it all worked to plan, I should just be able to, you know, come over here and slide the top bolts through, as I said earlier. Oops. Like that. You can see that. And then I should be able to easily thread by hand, which I'm now able to. Well, better anyways. It's still binding a little bit. So I think I need to do, I'm not comfortable with that. It needs to be like a free floating bracket, you know, because it's definitely still binding. So let's do one more pass on the drill to open up a tad bit more. And then I think we'll be set. But this is like, as we're troubleshooting this, guys, as we're going through this is kind of like the journey, because not everything is perfect, you know. There's always a little bit of finessing that you have to do, like back and forth, and it's just part of doing this kind of automotive stuff. And it's frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. You spend like 150 or 200 bucks on these brackets, they should just work. It should just work. But if you're not, like, we're modifying something, right? We're adapting a caliper from a different car using adapter brackets. Like, that mentality itself invites the necessity for customization in general. So with that said, you know, you need to be okay with the idea that not everything's perfect. But it would certainly be awesome if it was. Man, it is still fighting me a little bit. Why? Yeah, I don't know, guys. What do you think? Yeah, I still don't like that. I mean, it's definitely better. Let me just work at it again. It's definitely better. It's like, I would say like halfway there, you know, and not full. But let me see with the small enlargement I've done. I have one more larger drill bit. Yeah, I might just go for it because I don't know. Before I go to this drill bit, which is a, what size is this? 21 32nd. I'm just wondering if I should try one more time to open up the holes. No, I'm just gonna go for it because I don't see this coming out in a timely manner. And I think I'll be fighting this for a while. I don't see that there's gonna be any, you know, easy way of doing this without just going to a larger hole. And I have these conical drill bit steps here, but they're not long enough. Yeah, so we're gonna have to go to this drill bit size. It is what it is. Kind of sucks. I really did not want to do this in fear of, you know, changing the specifications, but whatever. All right, here we go. We're just gonna enlarge the holes a bit, I guess. Woo! I'm just gonna do the one down there. That should give me enough wiggle room. We'll do that one first before I do both. That should be enough. So like I said, that was definitely a bigger step than I would like to. All right, let's get this again. Hopefully this is it, guys. Sorry for the time waster there, but there we go. That was the magic kiss. All right, a little bit of play, not much, because I only did one, but now the top bolt slides nicely in there, so I'm okay with that. Cool, so I'll have to do that on the other bracket. All right, so let's get the Brembo, and we need that washer if you don't remember. Come down here, put the washer on there, and then what we're gonna do is go like this. Let's get that bottom one. All right, got it easily threaded through. Sorry, I'm just kind of fumbling here at the moment. Man, it is definitely fighting me a little bit on angle here. All right, I believe I got it threaded. Sorry you guys couldn't see that. Nope, did not have it threaded. What in the world is going on? A little frustrated, I'm not gonna lie. I used, if you're curious, I used different brackets on the on my 89, brackets I actually made. I guess not gonna toot my horn, but they worked perfectly without this back and forth business. And I know I don't have any left. I made like 20 sets and I sold them all. I didn't think I'd be doing this to another car of mine. All right, I think it's threaded. I'm just gonna make sure. Yeah, I think it's threaded. We got it. Definitely some tight clearances. Good grief. So one thing I'm already noticing is I don't know if they sent me the right brackets, because it's rubbing the caliper. I was worried about that, but we'll verify that here in a minute. Yeah, the rotor is hitting the inside of the bracket, and it's a good thing that we're mocking things up, because I don't think these are the right brackets. So let me show you. Yeah, I mean, it's, if you look, it's not, it's hitting the top of the rotor, and I can't even spin the rotor right now. So these aren't the right brackets. So that was my concern, is that if you look at the, if we go to Google, and we do, if you can see, if we do 240SX CTSV bracket, they have a 4-piston and a 6-piston. And if you look at the pictures, the brackets are like the same design, but they are spaced differently between the perch mount, the bottom mount perch. So I need to contact them and say, hey, we got a problem here. It ain't fitting correctly, and you definitely need to take action on this. So anyway, it's 200 bucks. Yeah, 200 bucks. Ridiculous. So I will reach out to them, and hopefully they will get back to me, and so I can fix this problem. Because, you know, I'm gonna put the wheel on right now, but I don't think this is correctly mounted. So if we put the wheel on, it's not gonna be right. Like, the caliper is gonna be offset, but I'll show you to prove my point. So if we go ahead and well, very surprisingly, it actually, I think it's gonna clear, but the brackets aren't right. That is not right. So let me, I'm just curious at this point. I want to zip on the wheel and take a look on the inside to see how much clearance we got. I was kind of hoping that everything would be good and ready to go, but definitely not. And there's no way I can even turn the wheel to see what's rubbing. What we'll have to do is raise the car up, get under there with a flashlight, and see if there's clearance, which I suspect there will be. Let's just double check. That should be good. Let me get a flashlight. This one have good juice. This one has good juice. All right. So caliper is rubbing, or just barely not actually. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see with the, yeah, it's barely kissing it. And the top is not at all, but that's my point. Like if you were to adjust the caliper properly, it would actually possibly center it perfectly. So like I said, this is very disappointing. I might have to reach out to them and say, what the hell, guys? But I was hoping it would just work perfectly. But anyways, that's it for now. I'm gonna reach out to them, and this will, be a compilation of these clips together. So I'll be back in a moment with the correct brackets, hopefully, and continue onward. I was hoping to get some clearancing on the top hat of the calipers and get everything to fit and spin correctly, but I guess not today. Anyways, I will be back here momentarily. All right, guys, before I actually go back to these guys and try to, get a resolution here, I just noticed something per the instructions here. So one thing I noticed right here on this picture, the caliper is sitting like upside down. You see the bleeder is sitting facing downward, and the crossover tube is up top. I thought that was just an error during their picture, like taking process of fitment. But I go down here at the bottom, oops, past it. It says, before bleeding your brakes, make sure to swap the bleeders and crossover lines so that the bleeders are on top. You must do this. So I'm wondering if this fitment, they require you to put the caliper essentially upside down. Now that kind of sucks, because on these you have different size pistons, where the bigger piston should always be your leading piston, and the medium piston's medium, and the smaller piston should be your trailing, or your initial piston here, or your trailing piston, I'm sorry. So now what I have to do is get the other Brembo, this guy, and I have to basically fit it like this upside down, and have the leading piston be the small piston and the trailing be the big. That's not technically correct, but I think that's why these brackets aren't fitting correctly. It's gonna work just fine anyways. I'm not pleased with that. On my brackets I made, it allowed me to run them correctly. So it kind of sucks, but I'm gonna go ahead and reverse, get this off, and get the other Brembos, the other one fitted over here upside down. And I'll be curious if that's what causes it to fit properly after that. So let's take this off and try this again and see if that's what does it. If that's the case, I'm fine with that. It's technically not correct, but I highly doubt I'm gonna notice any difference, to be honest. It is, like I always say, it is what it is, but kind of honestly a bullshit design. So it's kind of a good thing I read into that. I guess. I mean, like I said, I'd rather have it be correct. But I highly doubt I'm going to notice a difference. And one thing I also noticed, you can kind of see it right here, I need to shim, I need to add a couple more washers on the inside of the bracket because the caliper is not sitting like perfectly centered. It's actually rubbing against the rotor there. So we'll need to correct that too by getting more washers. And that's actually the same thing you have to do for even putting Z32 calipers on, like way back when, back in the day, like early 2000s, when you would want to adapt the Z32 front calipers, you would need to make sure you center the caliper correctly. But now you get to see me make, clearance the other Brembos. Like I said, it kind of sucks I have to do this, but at least it's resolvable right now. So basically what they're saying is fit it upside down like this. I do not like that, but whatever. So what I need to do is get my Sharpie and kind of trace out where you need to cut. So you see that? So this is right here where I need to cut. Believe it or not, there is an angle grinder cutting wheel that is specific for aluminum. I didn't know that, because a lot of times when you cut aluminum with like your regular cutoff wheel, it'll actually collect the material. And this one says, these are it right here, it's already on there from doing this earlier. Just make sure. But a lot of times the cutting wheel will actually collect the material and they could explode on you. So you want to make sure you got the right disc. So these are my regular cutting wheels for steel and iron or whatever. And here are my aluminum ones. Yeah, right there it says aluminum, like this. Yeah, so these ones are aluminum. So just kind of showing you guys that you can get the correct cutoff wheel. So what we'll do, we'll just very easily and carefully basically go like this and cut into it like at this angle right here up to that point, and then we'll go downwards to kind of chop it off. So here we go. All right, so easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So I did have the right bracket on there. So let's get that bolted back up. Got some dust on the GoPro. We'll try this again real quick and see if that's all it was. I bet it is that case, and it's frustrating, but whatever. guess it helps to read instructions when you are doing stuff like this. And like I said, we need to shim out the caliper some. So I need to get more washers to do that. So I have to run to the hardware store tomorrow and do that. But I think stacking 2 washers to accommodate the offset difference should be good enough. So we'll go ahead and do that. You know, it might just be a difference between like the S13, and even though I know it shouldn't be, but it very well could be. So I'm doing 2 up top to offset the caliper to center the rotor. I'm doing 3 in the bottom because of that difference of the height difference there. So it should equal out to be the same top to bottom. Oops. So putting these on there is going to make it now a little more challenging for sure, because I now have to figure out how to carefully get the caliper on there to where the washers don't get knocked off. But man, this is irritating. Let me blow the dust off this, because I don't want to scratch, as I probably already did. I think these are powder coated, so they seem to be all right. They came pre-powder coated red. Okay. All right, so upside down, I guess. See, I'm already kind of fighting here a little bit. But we'll figure it out, you know. I got that one threaded. Again, just bear with the fumbling because it's awkward as hell. That one's threaded, so that was surprisingly a first try attempt. Okay. There's the wrench. I think it's, I can already tell it's seemingly fitting better. Yeah, it's seemingly fitting better. Now, because I made that hole a little bit bigger, that drill bit I drilled out, that gave me a little bit of wiggle room. And what I'm going to do with that wiggle room is basically ensure that I can, you know, adjust the caliper ever so slightly, and I can a little bit. I just want to make sure I'm not going to hit anything, and I guess it doesn't matter. It's looking pretty good. So let me finish tightening it up in the back. So, crisis averted, although I am disappointed with the caliper essentially being upside down. I don't, you know, really, you know, I'm not really pleased with how that's coming along, you know? That's not cool, but whatever. So let's take a look real quick. And it looks like it's definitely like, you know, let me show you. It's not perfectly centered, but let me show you real quick what I'm talking about. So if you look, you got this gap right here, and the rotor is like too close to right here. So the whole caliper needs to shift a little bit more. Probably another 2 millimeters, probably not, basically another washer or two, and then we'll have it. And it sucks. I'll probably have to get longer bolts just to feel comfortable with offsetting it a bit more. But again, that's part of the journey, is making sure. So now my concern is, you know, I put the wheel up here and the face did not touch the spokes of the center. But if I pull the caliper, offset it over here a little bit, it might now, especially that 2 millimeters, I might need to adjust for. So let's try it out and see what happens. All right. If I haven't said so before, these wheels, as big as they are, they're insanely lightweight, because the gold part, the center part, is magnesium, and the barrels are obviously aluminum. But like my Motegi wheels on the 89, the black cards, they are heavy, but these are insanely light. Hopefully it doesn't hit the calipers. Nope, not yet. Okay. So it's cleared. I don't need to do any grinding. That is awesome. And my only concern, and you can't tell, I can't even tell, is how much clearance I'm going to have between the spokes in there and the red surface. So if I get, again, my flashlight, is this the one I was using? Yeah. You'll be able to see a bit more, hopefully. Let's see, not to put a glare on the camera. Maybe from behind, maybe? Nope. All right, well, there's a shadow. I probably have like 4, maybe 5 millimeters. I can't really tell. So here's how this is gonna play out. I guess right now, we're gonna go ahead and get the caliper centered correctly. And I'm gonna see how much of a, you know, if it's gonna be an issue. And if it is an issue, I need to get different wheel spacers. So these wheel spacers are 25 millimeter, you know, 1 inch, which is pretty common. And granted, if you look, I got plenty of, you know, fender well here. I can bring out the tire a bit more, but I would have to go to, like, if they have a 30 mil spacer. I don't know if they do. I know they have, I think they have a 40. I don't really want to go to 40, but I like the 25 that I have now. But let me, let's go ahead and get the caliper centered and see how that works out for us. Because that will tell the story of what we need to do. Oops. Let's get those lugs where they need to be. Okay. Well, like I said, I'm pretty happy that I don't need to grind any material away like I had to do on my 89. I'm disappointed that I have to put the calipers upside down. That's just not what I really wanted to do, you know? It just kind of sucks, but whatever. All right. Cool. Let me get this going, I guess. And I need to change out the battery again on the GoPro. These batteries are not fully charged. I forgot to charge them from last time, but let me swap it out. All right, so let's go ahead and unbolt these. And again, I think I only need to do, let me just get one more washer if I have one, and I don't. So what I'll do is I'll grab one of these. Yeah, those, I really think I just need one more washer than the ones I have in there to get it gapped correctly, and then we should be good. I have a bucket full of actual new hardware, like new washers and new bolts. I just, you know, the extras that you buy during a project, you know. So I have an extra set of stuff. I might be able to get this what I need. But like I said, guys, I'm pretty disappointed. All these washers are going to come running down. There's the two right there that I just dropped. And this one's going to drop 3. Yeah. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and they're all down there. I'm going to go pick those up here in a minute, but let's go get one sized up from the bucket of washers and bolts. If not, I'll have to make a run to the hardware store tomorrow because it's pretty late right now. So let's see what we got here. These are the, like I said, these are the extra stuff I buy if I'm working on a project. I think I remember buying some 14 mils earlier. These are too big, but those are nice and thick. There we go. So do you have more of these? It's probably the only, this is probably it. This is probably all I need right here. So we will use these. Yeah, we'll give this a shot. I'll clean up that mess later on. Let's give these a go. And then this will solve the mystery of whether or not I need to get a bigger wheel spacer. So let's get these washers on. And I can't believe I have to stack them up as much as I'm doing right now. Crazy. But it is what it is. I need to stop saying that. All right, so let's pick up these washers that fell. And let's see, there's 3, 4, 5. And what I might do is go grab some of those gold washers. I have a bag of those, and maybe those will, like, instead of doing like multiple tiny ones, like, let me show you, maybe I can just get away with one big one, or, you know, a lot less of them. I don't like the idea of stacking washers. Like if you take this one, for example, this one basically equals 2. So you get my point. I might be able to run those. I have a bunch of those. But for now, let's just finish mocking this up. Kind of ridiculous. So the bottom one will have a total of 4. On top one will have a total of 3. And I'm dropping 1. And like I said, it's fine doing this. It's not gonna break or damage anything. It's just excessive in my opinion. I don't really like the idea of this, but it is what it is. I need to stop saying that. I just don't remember having to do this on the black car, to be honest with you. Because my brackets were, I guess, made better. I'll definitely need to get longer bolts for sure. All right, it looks like it's gonna be perfectly centered. So let's just get this buttoned up. All right, so I think if you look here, it looks like I don't need, like the top is perfectly centered, but it looks like the bottom is not. So I may be able to remove one of those washers actually after all, which is kind of cool. So let's take it off one more time. I want to see a perfect centering of this caliper. And then you'll want to definitely put the pads in after you get this installed, because there's like no way you'll be able to do this, you know, while the caliper is loaded. Okay. Caught all those. So let's take a look at these washers real quick. So I'm gonna run, yeah. So I'll put the big guy here. And then just kind of thinking out loud for a moment. Okay, so we're gonna put, I guess, what was it? 2 washers each? Sorry, I just kind of drew a blank there. I'm gonna do 3 each, that's right. We're not doing the 4th on the bottom. All right, cool. That should do it, guys. Let's try this one more time. This is gonna be it, I have a feeling. Okay, got that threaded. Oops, oops, oops. Just dropped them all. My bad. Almost done, guys. Good thing YouTube has the invention of fast forward, so you don't have to see me fumble through this. But like I said earlier, I like to talk through these steps in case, you know, you guys need to pick up on a small detail you as the viewer can fast forward at your leisure, whether you don't want to watch this or not. So here we go. All right, that looks good. All right, I think that's good enough for now. It looks pretty centered-ish. There's like a millimeter, it's like at a weird angle because of that weird offset with the brackets. I'm gonna have to finesse that a bit more, but I think this is definitely close enough to do the needed fitment test here for today. So caliper is upside down. It's definitely fitting better. The rotor is spinning. Let's put the wheel on one last time to see and validate that the I don't need to get a different wheel spacer. And I don't think so. I don't think we will. That'll be cool. I would prefer not to. All right, let's buzz it on real quick. All right, let's check it out. Ooh, no rubbing whatsoever. So we are good. Got these big ass Brembos, and yet you can't really see them behind these mesh BBS wheels. But maybe if you have like a perfect light on it while driving, you can see it then. But yeah, I don't really care how it, how it looks. I wanted better brakes. So very happy that I don't need to do any grinding. So that's actually crazy to think that 14-inch rotors, Brembo 6-pot, 6-pot Brembos can fit and clear a 17-inch wheel. That's crazy. But, if we go look at the other wheel, I want to show you something about why these are clearing. Unsurprisingly, if you look inside, I mean, it is straight. It is a straight barrel. Like there's no weird step or anything like that. It is like straight. My Motigis, there's a few steps in there. So I think this is why these fit so well. I don't know if that's a common thing for, all wheels to have like a straight barrel. It could be, I don't know. I don't really pay attention to things like that. But when it comes to this brake kit though, it's definitely clearing. So, cool. All right, so got that resolved. I'll have to flip the bleeder and the crossover tubes, flip them around. And then I'm still waiting on the rear brackets to adapt the rear Brembos. Because, these simply do not bolt up, even though they kind of look like they do. They most certainly do not. So, well, I think that puts them like, if I remember it like, it was like this, basically. I don't remember doing any grinding. I don't remember doing any hackery, but we'll need to get the brackets on, then put the rotor back on and go from there. But yeah, everything is coming along greatly now. Jeez. All right, so like I said, this will be a bunch of clips compiled into one video, and then we'll wrap up as a project. And then, oh, by the way, I have these Brembo high temp vinyl decals that will go on. You don't put these on until you're absolutely done. Because if you notice when I was grinding the calipers, if I was to put these on first and then go grind, then I'm gonna scratch the hell out of these. So do these as your final last thing to ensure that you're you're done and ready to go. So technically I could put the the stickers on those Brembo since I got it, you know, mocked up. But I'll wait until I'm all done with all four. And I'm curious if I have to, just out of curiosity, if I'll have to grind this one or not. I think I'm good. Oops. No, I will have to, because I did the other side now, so this one will be carved twice, unfortunately. It kind of pisses me off, but whatever. So anyways, all right, I will come back when I get the rear brackets and we'll rock and roll forward and get the rest of the stuff done. So we'll talk in a bit. Talk to you.